what I know I can say is that I had a worksite accident at a warehouse.
Yeah.
And it was on a freak accident, completely just something that I was operating the vehicle. Somehow I got pinned by a electric pallet jack. So similar to the pallet jacks that the hand jack ones, but imagine the ones that you ride that go about 10 miles per hour.
Gotcha.
So somehow my foot got under it, ran me right into a wall, and I got pinned for about 15-20 minutes while the paramedics tried to find me, by the way. They had a issue.
Were you alone?
I was within 50 feet. If I didn't have my friend who I met at the warehouse within earshot about hearing the clank, I think I'd be dead.
This is the Said No One Ever podcast, a podcast about things you never knew you wanted to hear about. I'm your host, Martin Moore. Let's get into it. Holy smoke. See, that's one thing I want to do.
That's nice. You don't need a splitter. You don't need like GGMM splitter.
Okay.
Like you can just you can have it in the center, have 4 microphones. My recommendations: get a cloud lifter immediately for those things because it's such a low noise floor. You're going to be at max gain, and then you don't have any play.
Gotcha.
So that's the only downfall about
Thanks for coming to Ken and Martin's podcast about podcast microphones. Very, very excited for this episode's guest. It's a guy I've known for a long time. It's a guy that I've wanted to get on the podcast for a while, but extenuating circumstances didn't allow that.
Exactly.
Dude, Ken, what's up?
Martin, oh my gosh, I'm so hyped right now. It's finally happening. I remember when you were like, I'm going to make a podcast. I'm like, I need to be on it. And it's been 3 seasons.
I know. You're, this is episode number 3. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, what you do, fill them in, because this episode is called I Lost My Leg, Now What?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think people are probably itching already about a minute into the podcast to know what this is all about.
Right. So my name is Ken Kojis. I'm a videographer and photographer in the Milwaukee scene. I've been in and out of Milwaukee and as well as Waukesha. And one of the biggest things that I had happen to me was in 2021, April 15th of 2021, tax day of 2021.
Oof, of all days.
Of all days. I had to do my taxes and then I lost my leg. That's what happens when you don't pay your taxes, everyone.
In the same day?
Yeah, it was. The IRS knocked on my door and snagged the leg.
Those motherfuckers.
Not really, actually. But what realistically happened is I had a worksite accident. This is the first time I'm publicly talking about this.
Can you talk about it?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I could talk about like what happened to me.
Sure.
Like the circumstances
but none
and
of
the
legal
details.
Stuff,
yeah, legal, lawyer. And also, I'm not going to bore all of our audience who wants to know about the technology, about the prosthetics, right?
We're definitely going to get into the technology.
So I lost my leg in April 15th of 2021, and I've been kind of on this road journey for the last almost 2 years. We're coming up to 2 years for my leg
nuts?
loss. I feel old. I feel so old.
Where did the time go?
Today I'm 23, and most of my friends are like, I met you when I was 23. I'm like,
I know.
Oh.
When we met at, it was like a Instagram meetup or something, wasn't it? Like,
probably 2018. It was around there when the hype of 2018.
Okay.
I could probably pull up photos of the first time.
I was vlogging and stuff then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty
sure
it
was the MK My City
yes,
meetup,
yes.
one of the big
I miss
ones.
those. I wonder how Yvonne's doing.
I wonder how like those people are doing. I'm like, man, I miss those meetups.
That was a fun time.
And that's how I met most of these people in the creative community and who got me into the entrepreneur space of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I started with Milwaukee Misfits or Urban Misfit Ventures in 2019. And then I worked with Margle Media for a little bit, and as well as GGMM, and there's a couple other companies in there somewhere that I was like part of. Like these, like I love those peeps too, and it's just crazy to see myself grow. And then I'm like, man, I'm 23. I feel like I'm washed up now.
I'm 42. I'm not even going to say anything about that.
I feel like, man, like all of my peers right now are successful, and then I spent the last 2 years getting back to my feet. Literally.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. Like I learned how to walk again when I'm 21.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna get into all that. You know, I want this episode to be sort of a celebration of overcoming, personal adversity, overcoming what feels like impossible circumstances to not only navigate, but I think, and I cannot empathize, but to just accept. I think a lot of amputees, and I'm sure we'll get into this. You'll talk like it's just something that I think that like some people just can't accept the fact that they've lost a limb.
Right.
And so I'm really excited to sort of get into this conversation. Talk about your journey, some of your fears, some of the things that surprised you, some of the tech that you found very helpful, and just how this changed the way that you've created and made your films and done your photography and all that. So why don't you tell the listeners? Let's just start off about the accident. Like, how did it happen?
I can't talk details.
Okay.
But how it happened
or what you can tell us. 'Cause I don't even think I know much.
Yeah, legally probably can't speak much because the lawyers are still there. But what I know I can say is that I had a worksite accident at a warehouse.
Yeah.
And it was on a freak accident, completely just something that I was operating the vehicle. Somehow I got pinned by a electric pallet jack. So similar to the pallet jacks that the hand jack ones, but imagine the ones that you ride that go about 10 miles per hour.
Gotcha.
So somehow my foot got under it, ran me right into a wall, and I got pinned for about 15-20 minutes while the paramedics tried to find me, by the way. They had a issue.
Were you alone?
I was within 50 feet. If I didn't have my friend who I met at the warehouse within earshot about hearing the clank, I think I'd be dead.
Oh my God.
And that's pretty insane, is the fact that like this guardian angel of this like just like relief, and I stayed calm. God's plan. That was the original name.
Yeah,
of
we
this
were originally
podcast.
going to call the episode God's Plan, but I didn't think it was clickbaity enough.
Right. It sounds like more of a Drake's lyric.
Yeah, right.
But I'm saved by the Lord, so I'm a Christian. And one of the things that I realized while working at this company was the fact that like he was kind of protecting me this whole time. And man, oh man, it was definitely intense, but I stayed calm. I had a calm, collective head on me, and during that whole time, most people pass out. Most people have like when they see their own blood.
Sure.
And especially from like a compound fracture where it's like your bone is outside your body.
Yeah.
Which is not good, by the way. That's not where your bones should be. It should be outside.
Right.
Inside of your body, not outside. But yeah, my ankle joint that connects to my foot was demolished. It was obliterated, gone. Spent 16 days in the hospital. 3 of those days, my foot was still attached to my body. And then it was like a Friday when it happened, like the morning when I got to the hospital. Monday morning, they took it off.
Really?
So I had 2 days where I was like, oh, that's my foot. I can't feel someone wiggle my toes. That's weird.
Yeah.
And one of the doctors came into my room. And I wanted to say this to people that were like, man, like if I lost my leg, I'd probably off myself, right? Most people would say, like, I don't know how you would survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amputation is not the problem. Amputation is the solution to the problem. And I want a relevancy. Jeremy Renner had an accident earlier this year, actually January 1st of 2023.
Like a snowmobile.
Yeah, snowcat. He got ran over by his own machine because the machine's parking brake gave out. And everyone was concerned that he was going to lose his leg. And all the news media, TMZ, Fox News, CNN, were all be like, oh my gosh, he's going to lose his leg. He's going to have an artificial leg. He's over.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, amputation isn't the problem.
Yeah.
Amputation is the solution to be able for him to learn how to walk, live with that disability.
Act again.
I mean,
use the snowblower again.
Exactly, right. Use the snowcat again and be this living, true opportunity. Ant-Man, the stunt double for Ant-Man, is an amputee.
What? Really?
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, nobody knows that.
It's shocking because, and I remember when I think you had just gotten your prosthetic. Me and Jen used Apple Fitness Plus, and I had sent you this guy named Amir, and I'm going to mess his last name up, but I'm just going to say it. Amir Ekbatani, I don't know. He was a football player for UCLA. He lost his leg in a motorcycle accident, 2% chance of living. And now he is no longer an Apple Fitness Plus instructor. But like I've heard interviews of him, and he talks about how he wouldn't be where he is today without his accident. Right. He wouldn't be as successful as he is. And people have asked him, if you could go back and have your leg back. He's like, no, like my life has changed for the better. And so, it's going to be interesting, talking to you as we get into this conversation, just some of the things that have changed for the better for you and how your life has changed for the positive and how this was all part of, in air quotes, God's plan. What was your So do you remember like the whole accident, or are there bits and pieces that like you sort of like faded in and out, or?
I remember everything until they put ketamine in a system.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
And
I remember I actually asked permission from the paramedics in the ambulance if I can close my eyes.
Really?
Because I was afraid that if I close my eyes right now, I die.
You die?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because like everyone's like, don't go to the light. Don't stay conscious, right? I was so conscious.
I assumed you lost a boatload of blood.
Yeah. 7 units.
And how many does the human body have?
9.5. I had 3 units of blood still in. I had just vital organs and my brain still. Like it was insane. When they're like, we don't know how. Like he would blow through the heavy medications we were giving him, and he kept on waking up. I kept on fighting. By the way, I still wake up in the middle of the night thinking that I'm under because of that fight or flight, and I would fight the medications enough to wake up and like, where am I? And they're like, you're okay, you're safe, go back to sleep. And they're like, we got to put him some more fentanyl and some ketamine in him. And I met the firefighters this last year in 2022.
Nice.
At their fire station, and they gave us the rest. They filled in the blanks. And there's some crazy God plan stories about it, and like how when they got in the ambulance, they were going to send the helicopter to the site, but there was too many power lines, so they went to the nearby hospital to Flight for Life me at Freighter in Wauwatosa, the big one, Trauma 1. And literally, just like on how the hospital staff wanted me, they wanted to admit me so they can take me to Fight for Life, but the paramedics were like, no. So they locked the helicopter pilots in the little ambulance, surrounded my little body, and they're like, we're all gonna take him and we're gonna walk him to the helicopter so the hospital doesn't touch him, because if the hospital touches him, he has to be admitted.
Gotcha.
And if I get admitted, I'm dead.
It's crazy when you think about how all the things that have to line up in order for things like that to like play out and be successful, and you don't die.
The guy that his name is Kyle, or no, his name is Ben. Same name as my brother, and I made that. Turns out I took photos of his car in 2017 at a car meet.
Shut up. Are you serious?
I'm serious. I met this man. I forgot his name. He remembered me.
Dude.
So when he saw me laying on the floor and he follows me on Instagram.
Right? Like, what the fuck?
He's like, hey, Ken, how's it going? And I'm like, how do you know my name? He's like, someone told me it. And we had a conversation about photography. He's like, where's your favorite place to take photos? And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So he just got me talking about photography. So photography saved my life. And this guy who I took photos of in 2017 remembers me.
Dude, that's so dope.
And how this guy, Ben, literally was just like, my brother's name is Ben.
Right.
I've taken photos of his car. He knows that I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
He remembers me. We're in this small little town in Wisconsin. And we've had all of these things that line up. And then he just was like, I'm just going to go with him until all the way to Tosa. And he did. He came to me on the helicopter, and he stayed by my side, and he met my parents that night. Like, that's how crazy he's like, I got to stick with this kid. Because this kid's changed my life, and now I've got to change it. I've got to help him. People
like that are just like, they're like little secret guardian angels.
Yeah, it's a guardian angel, man.
So when you finally found out, so how much of your leg did they have to amputate?
So I don't know how much. Okay, so 15% of my body is gone.
That's nuts.
I don't know like how many inches, because I have lost about 7.5 inches, like below my knee is still there.
Okay.
But I don't know how much. They did take like 7 pounds.
That's
if you want to know, they took 7 pounds.
Did you have to update your driver's license weight? I'm just kidding.
There's
my joke. You asked me to. Actually, I was looking at jokes last night because you're like, you need to tell a joke, and I'm like, okay, we know each other, and like you'll think it's funny, but like the listeners are gonna think I'm an asshole.
Oh no, he can. Hey, by the way, here's the rule: is you can make one-legged joke.
Sure.
To me, and if I laugh, you're good. You're in. No, because I've caught my weight up, and I'm actually 10 pounds heavier than I was when I.
You look
lose
great.
My leg.
I mean, you look fantastic.
I definitely. Oop, I don't want to drop these and make noise. I fluctuated nearly 25 pounds through the whole process.
God, I bet.
So from 150 to 135, 135 to 192, 192 down to 160 or 172 now.
Okay.
And so just in this last 12 months, I have fluctuated very, very high.
Oh my God. So what was your biggest fear when or did you know that they were gonna? I guess there's knowing, and then like, okay, today's the surgery. Like, what was your biggest fear of losing your leg?
I wasn't gonna be able to longboard again.
Okay.
So I woke up the Friday morning from the hospital. My parents are around me. They didn't sleep a single cent.
God, I want.
They didn't. Yeah, not even a single second. So they've been up for over 24 hours, right? And they're sitting like next to my bedside. The main doctor comes in and he looks at me dead in the eye. He's Dr. Gregory Schmaling. Shout out to him because he convinced me, or not even convinced me. He told me straight up. He was very honest and very raw. And he looked at me. He said, "You have two options. You really only have one, but you have two options.
We're gonna pretend like it's two.
We're gonna pretend it's two. You can keep the ankle, never walk again, and be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, and be in pain for the rest of your life. Or we can have an amputation on Monday, and you can do whatever you want, and you can be a superhero."
I like it.
And I looked at my parents.
Make the first option so miserable.
Right.
Right. The second option sounds fantastic.
So I looked at my parents, and then I looked at him, and I said, "Can I longboard again?" And he said, "Yeah, definitely. There's Paralympians doing everything."
Yeah.
And I looked at my parents, and I said, "I'm sorry." And I looked at him, and I said, "I will take the amputation."
Yeah.
I was still on drugs. I woke up 20 minutes.
Really?
We're talking 20 minutes of like, awake, hey, my foot's here. And then they're like, it's not really there.
And you don't remember any of did you just wake up and...
I remember hearing my mother's voice. She woke me up in the emergency room.
I've never been put under for anything, so I always hear people talk about,
it's crazy.
I just woke up. It felt like 5 minutes later, and...
Yeah, I remember the jostling of the helicopter, like my body getting jostling.
Thank God you didn't end up on one of those YouTube videos where like you're like hanging from and it starts spinning around from the wind.
Probably no, gosh, no, not those are for like actual rescue, and no, they would probably land the helicopter. That's how critical I was.
Wow.
And I back to the story. I mean, there was a point where I heard my mother while I was under and I was conscious, and so I woke up out of the drugs, and they're like, "He's not supposed to be awake. How is he awake?"
Pump him full of more drugs. Pump him full of more drugs. Pump him full of more drugs.
So I see her. She's wearing a floral mask because it's during 2021, right?
Yeah.
And the mask is moving, right? The mask, the florals
because you were just like so
high. And her glasses made her with 6 eyes. So it's just my mother's face with like 7 or 8 eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Mom, like." And she's like, "You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay." What she was doing, she was begging the surgeon to keep his ankle so he can make the decision because she is my mother.
Gotcha.
And she's on my emergency contact list.
Yeah.
She has authority over my body.
She didn't want to have to
She didn't want to be responsible.
Gotcha.
And I'm so happy that she fought for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if I woke up, she was worried that if I woke up and my leg is gone, and it's her fault.
Well, exactly. And it's one of those things, too, where it's like, you getting to say yes to that decision. You have the power. You're taking control of your life. Someone else to make the decision, and I think that's awesome that you did that. And I think that was a very important first step. Is if you can as the individual make the decision and not a doctor or a loved one,
right?
Like that. That's huge. Where did you find like hope and inspiration and support through like this whole procedure? Because boy, I feel like you need a lot of it.
A lot of phone calls. I mean, so they brought my laptop. I never opened up my laptop. Period.
What?
The entire time I was there, I was on phone calls or watching YouTube on my phone.
Really?
Or I had my mother or father in the hospital room the whole time. I did get transferred over to a smaller hospital, and then I had my brother. We snuck the system, man. We figured out the system. During COVID, you're only allowed to have 2 people.
Yeah.
But if you get
because this was all like
room,
during COVID stuff too.
This is 2021, early 2021. We found out that the names get reset for visitors when you get moved to a room. So if we request a room change, they can change the room,
visitors
and
stay.
the visitor list gets cleared. So we moved my brother when my dad had to leave.
Well done.
So I saw my brother for a week. So he would come after school, after work, and he would just come right to here, and then he would spend until 8 o'clock.
Sure.
He would go home, and that was it for that. But phone calls, man. Pastors and people, when you post on social media, be like, hey, I'm the hospital.
Yeah.
Birthdays and hospitals, everyone remembers you.
Yeah, right.
That's one downfall.
A lot of support starts showing up.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you do have those guardian angels.
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
People that are like, well, I know Martin's alive,
sure.
but if Martin needs help, I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Right. If Ken's alive and if he needs help, I'll be there. And those were the people that
it really makes you realize how many people care about you. You know,
yeah.
Like it's like it's hard to realize how many people actually give a shit about you. But when something like that happens and people show up, it's just like it's such a blessing.
5 different churches posted my name and prayed for me. 5 different, not just one. 5.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I'm like, I didn't even know I had that effect
on
people. But there was like the pastor. We also cheated the system with pastors. We had 5 pastors come in. There was only supposed to be one.
Hold on, before you talk about this, is this something you're gonna have to repent later?
No, it's fine.
We cheated the pastors.
No, not really. I mean, we just somehow snuck them in. So, one of the nurse practitioners for the main head surgeon of the orthopedics division is like my mom's best friend.
Oh,
and
nice.
She didn't know that until like they were over my body at the same time. So they met each other. Again, another guardian angel. So she got us. We got pizza from outside of the hospital from Jets.
I feel like you need to, because you're going to start your own podcast. I feel like your first episode needs to be like Hospital Hacks by Ken.
Oh my gosh. No, put everything with gravy. If you're in the hospital at Freighter, just get gravy. It's free. They actually don't charge for gravy. So
I did pancakes and gravy.
Pancakes and gravy. Dude, I was getting so tired. They actually said, you're out of protein. Like you're maxed out of protein for breakfast, because I had like so much stuff. I was hungry all the time.
Oh God!
Because I never slept.
Exactly, and all you're doing is just sitting there, and it's like, I'm bored. I'm gonna eat. What's one thing that you never thought you were gonna be able to do again that you're doing right now?
I bought a one wheel.
Shut up! Are you serious?
Yeah, I do.
I have 2 actual legs, and I can't even ride that thing.
Yeah, I bought a one wheel in March of last year.
Really?
And I ride. So I would have never bought a one wheel because I love my longboard so much.
Yeah.
And this is a manual.
Do you even
longboard.
use a longboard now?
It's
the thing that you were like,
it's taken apart.
Am I ever going to be able to?
Right. I ride it. I rode it for the first time with my best friend because I promised him that I would ride. And it was before I had my one wheel. But that was only because my doctor allowed me to.
Gotcha.
And so that was one thing I didn't realize, was that I can get back into action sports.
Totally.
I mean, I went tubing yesterday. Or this weekend.
Hell
I went
yeah.
tubing.
Wait, tubing where?
Sunburst in Kewaskum.
Oh, I was thinking like water tubing. I'm like, we're down like the Kickapoo River or something. It's a little chilly out.
No, like Michigan.
Okay. What's one? So opposite question. What's
Right.
one thing you can't do right now that you wish you could?
Ouch. One thing from a limitations that I can't do that I would.
It's fantastic that you have to think about it.
Okay.
I mean, maybe there's nothing. I mean, is there
Actually,
anything?
there is. Roller coasters.
You can't go to.
So
what?
I dated this girl who was obsessed with Six Flags and roller coasters.
Okay.
Right. And this was just this summer, and she was very disappointed. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a big roller coaster guy, but now with my leg issue, I can't go on most roller coasters because you need an ankle for most of the security. So like,
are you serious?
Goliath, you need an ankle. So because I have a prosthetic,
I don't understand.
It's a liability.
Why though?
Well, it's just they have a liability issue with prosthetics, and there's certain rides and that I could take my leg off because the harness is above the chest.
Oh, are they worried like it could come off? Oh, like
and
inertia or something?
It's not secured.
And like smack some.
Even though I have suction, right? Yeah, it could smack.
You're on a roller coaster and Ken's leg comes flying past you.
200
and
miles
hits you
per
in the face.
hour, and you've got like this 5-pound metal
Okay, that makes
piece,
sense,
right? And like it's like, well, if it's secured at the ankle and it's also at the knee, no, because if wind get underneath,
gotcha,
and because of the G-force,
gotcha.
So like the American, the white full wooden track,
sure.
and I don't even know the names. Like
sure.
That's how much I don't care about roller coasters.
Yeah.
To answer your question, roller coasters.
So I would So of all the things you could have said, roller coasters, that doesn't sound that bad.
I mean, I didn't like them either way. I don't like the upside down.
Right.
It's upside down. It's just like scary for me.
Really?
The head rush and stuff.
You should put that in your LinkedIn bio. So how has this experience changed your life, your goals, your outlook, like your career, like everything that, like now that you're mobile again, you drove here. Right. Like if I didn't say, hey, or you didn't say, hey, I've
Right.
a prosthetic, people probably won't even know.
Right.
So do you feel like you're back to normal now, or has this changed your career trajectory and just like your sort of your goals and your outlook on life? Like how has your life changed or not, maybe?
Life's changed.
That's
it's loaded.
Massive question.
You like
you have 30 seconds.
I listened to a couple of your podcasts earlier, and yes, you definitely load a lot of questions up. So to answer your question, I do want to preface this. This hasn't changed the way that trauma affects me. So I want to like just be clear. I'm not better. I'm just good.
Yeah.
And at this moment, there are some things that I do out of trauma, and I still have I have nightmares at night. So this has affected my well-being and my mental health.
Okay.
I'm now diagnosed with ADHD. I wasn't ADHD before.
Really?
So I can't tell you what I did last week.
Really?
So I'm still kind of in this fight or flight moment of I was thinking man, I don't really remember what I did last week. If I didn't have a calendar, I would be screwed.
Wow.
So my memory, my short-term memory is trash.
Gotcha.
And so those are things that are unfortunately negative.
Sure.
Those are the things that people don't realize when you do have a traumatic accident. Your body wants to hide pain.
Yeah.
Wants to hide fear. And
physical and mental.
Emotional, mental, everything. And so I don't want to be like, hey guys, I'm better. Look what I can do. Which I do. I am 100%.
But there's a lot more below the surface that people don't know that you're hiding. That Gotcha.
And one thing that I noticed was the self-control of talking too much, because everyone's interested about my prosthetic and interested about me.
Sure.
But I forget to be like, oh wait, I need to ask you questions too, right?
Sure.
And because of that attention that I've gotten,
it's opened up the door for you to talk, and and rightly so. You do have a fascinating story, Ed.
Exactly.
But that can be a crux sometimes.
Yeah, that's what one of my the previous relationship I was in. That was one of the biggest things that she didn't like about me.
You just talked a lot.
I talked too much.
That's how I used to be.
I made it about me, and we even texted about that. It's just unfortunately, I need to break that.
Sure.
And work through that. So you asked me the question of what are the things that has affected me through all of this, and those are some of the negative.
Sure.
So the positives have been the fact that this story, if story is everything, I have this amazing story. I can overcome all things. My worst day of my life has been surpassed.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully there isn't another one. There probably is, but now
your death,
right? Near death,
which you pretty much already had a near-death experience. So,
okay. So if I have another near-death experience, I'd be like, oh, this seems normal. Right?
Yeah, right.
I've
done this before.
Or a death in general. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I'm like, death is okay.
Yeah.
That's the human cycle.
It's a natural part of life.
I'm sorry to say that you've lost your grandparent or you lost your friend, but death is normal. You need to push through this, and you need to process it the way you can. Take your time.
Yeah.
Pursue it and feel this pain. When the breakup happened for me, I felt the pain for 2 months. Oh. And then by month 3, I was like, I'm back.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when my first relationship, when I was in high school, I was destroyed for a year and a half, right? So I figured out how to pursue trauma in a way that I can adapt to it, love it, and love that pain and love that fear and be in it because I've been in it for so long.
Yeah. Use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I hopefully answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. So, big question.
Yeah.
Have you ever used your missing leg as an excuse for anything? Have you ever?
All the time.
Because I'd be trying to milk that for everything I could, skipping lines and getting better seats on an airplane or something. Is there anything that you've done that you probably didn't have to do that and hey, no judgment here because I would 100% do it.
So one of the things that I don't like doing anymore, but it's I'm more than capable of getting my own food.
Sure.
At my house. But I use my parents a lot. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I love you.
That is not what I thought you were going to say.
But literally, hey, Mom, can you go give me some water?
Yeah.
My leg hurts.
Oh.
It's so bad.
I hope she doesn't listen to this.
She knows because she stepped back and she said, no, get it yourself. And she gets my wheelchair. She rolls it over. Get it yourself. I'm like, oh, I'm more than capable. I know. I'm just being lazy.
Dude, that's funny.
So one of that, handicap parking. I have it on my plate. It's
Oh,
LFT,
hell yeah.
FT, so the one left foot. Which
That's
is a fully
that's
scope.
got to be nice when you go to Costco.
Costco.
'Cause that's a big parking lot.
Going to
IKEA,
maybe. We went to Disney and we had the handicap placard.
Oh, I bet that's
Dude,
a
it's
nice
$15 for Disney parking instead of $25, and we get preferred parking.
one. Yeah,
So it's like
that's a big lot
that's
too.
so good, right? Big, huge lot. Movie tickets, never need to be worried about walking into the movies. Just park in front.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right. Things you don't even realize.
Right.
So I mean, Six Flags was nice because like the first 3 rows is all handicapped.
Okay.
Six
so
Flags, right? Amusement
couple,
parks.
couple advantages.
Oh, here's another advantage that most people don't know. If you're medically disabled
Mm-hmm.
and you have the paperwork,
Mhm.
go to the national park. You get in for free for life.
Really?
Yeah, and also you can bring in 4 different other people.
Finally, our
that are
tax
not your
dollars
friends.
going to something good.
Exactly.
I like that.
Hey, don't worry. Your tax dollars are paying for my college later. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I like that. So you've been a creator ever since we
Yes.
met.
Yeah.
Filmmaker, photographer.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be creating again and telling stories?
It's
Because
great.
you haven't really been since the accident.
Right. I haven't been since the accident just because like I've been afraid of saying the wrong thing. One thing is the legal system and just
Mhm.
trying to be public about it, but also trying to tell my story and not be like, hey, like my life is so great. It doesn't look good in the court of law
Yeah.
because they're going to come up and say his life is great. So
Yeah.
we don't need to pay for it. And that means all of the insurance is coming onto me.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So what we need to do is, unless with the lawyers, is the fact that like we needed to be very cautious about it
Yeah.
at first. Now things are moving in the direction where I kind of know what to say and
Yeah.
how to say it. Realistically, from creating again, I'm starting my own podcast. It's called Start From Scratch Podcast.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. We're going to be launching in February 1st. So I'm really excited. I know it's really
Podcasts
cool.
are dope.
Podcasts are dope, and it's also to be able to. One of the first key things is that I can listen more. So I want to bring people in that I see interested.
Doing this.
Yeah. So I took some lessons from you as
Game
well
changer.
as Quentin. But getting to create again, I don't want to vlog anymore. It's
Yeah.
just it's too much out. Like it's splitting my mind up of like I need to make content
Yep.
and I need to be present.
Yes.
And it was hard to separate that presence
Mm-hmm.
because like if I'm with my girlfriend, I want to be with my girlfriend
Yeah.
and not vlog. So why am I vlogging?
Right.
But
Well,
yet
everything becomes content.
everything becomes content.
Like if I was still vlogging right now, this would be I wouldn't be really paying attention to you. I'd be setting up my cameras and trying to get
Right.
shots of me plugging the mics in. And
right.
No, I got 100% empathize with that.
So I'm trying to figure out how I can almost reality TV base a series
Mhm.
where I don't need to hold the camera,
Yeah.
where the content is being recorded, and I don't need to worry about it until it's in the editing room.
Sure.
So we're working on some different projects that are going to be sponsored off of Start From Scratch. So you'll be seeing more than just podcasts on Start From
Nice.
Scratch. And I want to make a series.
I think one of the reasons why I've really enjoyed doing this podcast is because, you know, you're very similar to me in that, like, we're storytellers. We like telling stories.
Yeah.
And I always thought that I was handcuffed to my camera and all the stories that I wanted to tell had to be through video,
Right.
through visuals. But doing this podcast and sharing all these different stories about you and, you know, all the guests we've had on, it's really made me realize that, like, I don't need a camera in front of me to tell a story. I feel just as satisfied sharing stories and helping create like these stories through this podcast.
Right.
And this podcast has been my vlog 2.0. And I think you're gonna love it, dude. Like it's awesome. It's a whole new set of tools to learn to edit. It's a whole new way of telling stories.
Yeah.
It's a whole new set of stories. I mean, for my vlog, I had 330 videos, and like, you can only make the same video getting on an airplane. You can only make the same video so many times. This podcast has allowed me to tell stories I never would have been able to tell with my YouTube channel. So I think you're gonna love it, dude. And like, I'm so jacked for you. When you told me you were doing a podcast, I was like, yes.
Yeah, and I want to record it too because I want to have that video element
Yeah.
that I'm familiar with. Like I've been born and raised on Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
And which I know, RIP. Wait, hey, I'm learning DaVinci now, which is a whole lot of different language, which we can get into that. In the
I don't got time for that.
Yeah, right. But like I wanted to do the video aspect because I want people to be aware that this is not just a podcast for audio, but
Sure.
it's a visual podcast.
God, I need to do video on this.
And you need to do video
I
on this.
know.
And I know it's a lot more work, but
Right.
there's a lot of better benefits for the short form content to get your name out there and to share.
Absolutely.
And as well as like for your guests to use this podcast on their platforms as well. So that was one thing that I wanted to do, was that I'm a low end creator, let's say from a follower standpoint.
Yeah.
But I do know that there are people that need their voice to be heard more than me.
Absolutely.
And that's to say something that I do have an amazing voice, and I do have this amazing opportunity with my story, but I do know that there's other creators there that just need a platform or just need a friend.
Yep, absolutely. Tech has given amputees, the freedom of mobility, dexterity, oftentimes freedom of pain in ways that just was not possible 25, 30, definitely not 50 years ago. What has surprised you the most? Because I'm sure you've gotten a master class now on prosthetics. Yeah. What surprised you the most about your new leg, and what has surprised you the most, because I'm sure you've talked to other amputees who've lost arms or whatever. What surprised you most about the tech as a whole and what you're seeing in the industry?
Do you want to hear the amazing tech that's in my body right now?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a creator called Footless Joe online.
I've heard of him before.
Her. So yeah.
Okay, then never mind. I haven't. Okay,
so she's an amazing creator.
It sounds familiar.
From Colorado Springs. She's probably about like 2 to 3, maybe 4 years in it being an amputee. Okay. She doesn't have the special operation that I had. She had a similar ankle break. They fused the bones together. She tried to walk on it for like 6 years, then had the amputation.
Wow.
But the problem is she didn't have targeted muscle reintervention. That's a big word.
What
Huge
is the word?
Targeted muscle reintervention.
Targeted muscle reintervention.
They take the nerve endings in your foot and your ankle, and they redistribute it like almost connecting electrical wire into your thigh and as well as your butt.
Okay.
So the circuit for your brain goes into a muscle group, and so you're not having phantom pain as much.
Really?
Yes.
Because that's a huge thing for people, is the phantom
pain.
It's a
huge thing is phantom pain. So a phantom pain, for people that may not know or be aware of what phantom pain is basically you feel like your foot is still there.
Okay.
Your foot is still there. The amputation happened at the foot or wherever your appendage was, not at the brain. We haven't gotten to the point where we can snip the brain endings or nerves or like block it.
Gotcha.
So we have to somehow reconnect the wiring of our nervous system into itself so it doesn't need to be shot out into nothing.
Gotcha.
Because if you just cut off a hand, you need to repair what that's been cut off and connect it within itself.
Well, body parts have the physical part, the muscle, the tendons, the bone, all that. Nerves. But you're right, but then there's the electrical part, the nerves. Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Muscles are not nothing.
Yeah.
So if we didn't have our nervous system, we wouldn't be able to move our muscles.
Right.
So everyone's like, oh my gosh, I got some nerve pain. Yeah, it's because probably in the back of the way you were sitting it's like clinching.
Sure.
You're taking a water hose and you're bending it in and you're cutting off that. There's still pressure going to that water hose.
Yeah.
Till you actually turn off the water.
Boy, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, that's
you definitely didn't make that up yourself.
No, that's one of the doctor's analogies. So in that, I had a operation done nearly for hands when you have like a hand injury.
Sure.
So I had a hand surgeon come in who's a neurosurgeon who works on hands and come in and work on my leg because I was a candidate for this operation because my foot was still intact.
Wow.
If I came to the hospital in 2 bags, I don't know if they would be able to just like repair, but because my leg was still there, they could take those nerves, and they actually had extra pieces from my foot. So they probably opened up my foot, grabbed those bits and pieces, and stuck them in.
So do you still have phantom pain, or really not
as much?
Gotcha.
The reason why I bring up Footless Joe is because she can't wear her leg for more than maybe 6 hours a day because of the phantom pain being so bad.
Really?
I'm at 18 hours a day.
Holy smokes.
I don't take my leg off until the night. Like, I wake up, I take off my leg when I have to, like, change out a ply when the swelling, because that's how bodies usually are. They swell. And I'm usually wearing my prosthetic for, on average, 18 to 20 hours a day.
Wow.
And I'm not a simple just wearing my leg and sitting around the house.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm walking 5, 6, 7, 8 miles a day. I mean, I'm
driving around,
running because you forgot a charger, Ken. At freaking anyway. No, I'm not gonna beat myself up. I had a wedding on Saturday and I forgot a cable to power the camera. So during the ceremony. So I'm like, I gotta run.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so for Footless Joe, she was like, oh yeah, I practice jitsu, but I can't wear my leg for much, and so I have a wheelchair. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm not even 2 years post-op.
Right.
And
you got a one wheel.
And I'm one wheeling, and I'm throwing myself off these freaking tables, and I'm pushing myself. I'm full sprint, and I don't run.
Yeah.
Full sprint where I shouldn't be running, and I'm playing soccer, volleyball, like I'm doing these activities. I'm like, am I supposed to be doing this? I asked my doctor, I'm like, am I supposed to be this?
Why do I feel like I'm farther ahead than a lot of...
How many legs am I supposed to break? Because
That's
I've broken 7 different prosthetics that are carbon fiber as well. I've broken 2 carbon fiber legs because I've been pushing myself. My prosthetist is like, this is the last one.
Hold on.
Prosthetist.
Oh,
not.
Boy, I thought you said a different word.
I know. Prosthetist. Okay, you wanted me to say leg doc? The leg doc. The guy that works on my prosthetics.
Yeah.
The leg doc. And my leg doc's like, you got to stop breaking these legs.
Yeah.
Because every few weeks, I would have a new test socket that's like a harder plastic.
Sure.
Snap, 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 snap. The first one, I was so devastated. I'm like, I broke my leg. By the 4th one, I'm like, calling my doctor.
Just have like a briefcase full of them things.
I still have my first one.
Really?
He'll give me the ones, my old ones back.
Gotcha.
Because we can't use them.
Yeah.
So they're decommissioned. So I have my decommissioned legs. So you can see how they were big as a watermelon, the first ones.
Really?
Yeah, and now they're like...
It'd be like a neat art piece.
Yeah.
Or not. Or that could be a really creepy art piece.
Some people use them for stockings.
Really?
For like stockings to like put them in for candy and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Because like if I get a couple more, then I've got like my whole family.
Boom. Problem with the fireplace is solved. If 2 more questions. Yeah. If you could tell a new amputee one thing, what would it be? Someone that's in the hospital bed, same situation as you, or maybe not even in the same situation as you, but they're gonna lose a leg or an arm. What would you tell them? That's a tough question.
If I had to tell myself, let's say that if I had to tell myself, if I walked in that room, it'd be like, hey, dude, it's all gonna work out in the end. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be able to do everything, and you're gonna be much better in life if you have this amputation.
Yeah.
Don't regret this decision, and just move on. Mm-hmm. Because your life will get better when you do get up for the first time.
Yeah.
Because the first time that I got up out of that bed after my amputation, I cried.
Oh, I bet.
Because like it's so like I look down and it's just my leg hanging, and every morning I have to do that, and that's why I have a tattoo that says 4/15/21. It's because it's a day to get up.
Yep, I love that.
Every day you're awake is a day that you're alive, and you don't know when you're gonna die.
Right.
Because there's gonna be a day you don't go to bed.
Right. And you didn't. You did. You woke up.
And I woke up. So just remember that you woke up today.
Yeah.
You keep on moving, and you keep your head, and you just keep on strong. And if you need my number, here's my number. If that's what I had to say.
Sure.
And actually, I'm a candidate to be one of those people to walk into Freighter. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have any medical experience, but I am 2 years post-op. I'm most active. I'm going to be talking to kids that are my age.
Nice.
Who are dealing
have
with this.
you talked to anyone or like gone in anywhere yet or?
I've gotten mentored. I've never mentored.
Gotcha. But that's something that you're interested in doing.
I'm interested in doing just because there were people there that helped me.
That did that for you.
And I don't know all the answers.
Sure.
And I may not know all the answers. But what I can do is I can just normalize it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any amputee friends.
Yeah. So it's like, who do you talk to?
I have people on Facebook that are in the Milwaukee scene who are amputees, but I'm like, I don't talk to them.
Yeah. You're not gonna like go grab coffee and then talk about our arms and
legs
the whole time. Like that's
right.
I mean that's a great point. All right, last question.
Yeah.
And I already know. Well, I don't know if I know what your answers are gonna be, and your answer doesn't change.
They don't know. They don't know your answer. They don't know.
That's true.
Exactly.
And I mean the answer changes nothing because you don't have a DeLorean. You can't go back in time. But it does. I think, whatever you say is going to be a telltale sign of, how you've personally dealt with this whole experience. So anyways, the question is, if you could have your leg back in like your old life and everything before the accident, like, would you take it if someone could snap their fingers? Or has some way God's plan worked out in a way where you wouldn't want to go back? It's a tough question.
It's a tough question. In my life right now, the people that I've met, the things that I've done, I could go either way with this. Is if I was given the chance to start my life over from 2021 and I never had that accident, I would love to see how that planned out. But you can't do that right now.
Yeah.
We don't have a time machine.
No.
And so if I was given the chance, like let's not dodge the question, Ken. I don't think I would, because of the people that I have developed in friends that I would have never had. If my former girlfriend like asked me how I lost my leg, I don't think I would have experienced life with her.
Sure.
The reason why her and I started dating was because she expressed interest about my leg loss because she's a nurse. And I was like, oh, cool, you're cool. And then you want to go on a date? And we did.
Nice.
Would have never happened, right?
Sure.
Would have never been interested in nurses.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
Never.
Think about that for a second. Okay, we thought about that? All right, cool. Yeah, you know my type now.
Yep. I'm laughing so hard right now. Never been interested in nurses. So
No, I would have never been. I would have tried to find someone who's creative again.
So you think you would just continue on, like, I'm good where I'm at?
I'm good where I'm at. Because I know that my leg loss has affected so many other people and be able to move forward than myself. And like my influence in who I am about online through I was prayed over in 7 different countries. 7 different countries.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Those are people that are my mom's friends, my dad's friends, my mom's
people that
mom's
may not even
friends,
know you.
friends of friends. People who don't even know me saw my face, saw my story, and prayed for me, or even thought about me, or even donated. Dude, we opened up a meal train.
Yep, I sent a
donation.
Sent a couple donations through.
There were people that I'm like, wait. It's my former boss.
Yeah.
I thought he didn't like me. It's from his company account.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I mean, it's
weird.
It's like, awesome seeing the people that care and wow, that's awesome, dude. I mean, that's kind of what I expected you to say, but I wasn't sure. I mean, it's a tough question. I have no clue what I would say because I've never been through that.
If I had to experience life similar to what I was, and if I didn't lose my leg, like still date the girls, still go to college, whatever. Yeah. I don't think I would be where I'm at today if I didn't have my leg loss. I don't think we would have the podcast. If I had my leg loss.
Do you feel like you have just you're just more hyper aware of life in this one life that you get, and like have you just taken life by the balls now more in a way that you just never would have or thought about before it?
I spent a lot more time being present. And that's why, like, this summer I wasn't online. This summer I deleted Instagram off my phone.
Ooh, that's a brave move.
Right? So, I mean, that's why I have the iPad. Is that I have an iPad mini in front of me. It has all my social media. It's like, that's why I haven't recorded, was because I needed to spend the time. And I don't really, I mean, I'm not dating my girlfriend right now, right?
Sure.
Still don't regret anything that's happened.
Yeah.
Because I was more present and I understand what life looks like when I was dead. And now I'm still alive, but
I know what you mean. I totally know what you mean.
But like, if I know what it's like for life being so fragile.
Oh yeah, when your life can just be snatched from you in not only just like a second, but a second when you never even thought it was possible. Oh yeah, I could die when I'm 50. Oh, I could die when I'm 60 or 70. No one thinks they're gonna die when they're 20 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and so to have the possibility of that dangled in front of you, I feel like would profoundly change someone's outlook on life. And dude, I really appreciate you coming on this episode and sharing your story. Like, this went a little bit longer, but I knew this was going to be a long one. Where can people find you?
So my name is Ken Kojis. So it's Ken_Kojis, or you can find my website and you can hire me for your video services.
Hire Ken,
KojisProductions.com, as well as Start From Scratch podcast. It's on YouTube as well as on, I think, TikTok for that one. We don't have any content, so it's going to look bad when you have like 4 subscribers. But either way, hey, get me to 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
Go on Ken Kojis on YouTube. I need to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So that is my goal for my New Year's resolution. I think I'm subscribed.
If I'm not, I'm gonna do it drastically fast after this. Dude, thank you so much for hopping on the episode.
Thank you so much,
Love you,
Martin.
buddy.
All right, everybody. Love you.